Hello, beloved. What if heaven was here on earth right now? Heaven's here on earth in our faith in humankind, our respect for what is earthly, and an unfaltering belief in peace, love, and understanding. That is the series I am kicking off today. I am so glad you're here. If you are new to these videos, I am Reverend Amani Malaika, and it is my deep, deep desire to walk with you on an experience of understanding the true nature of who you are, of what life is, as inherently good, as divine, as a manifest reality of spirit itself, this life you and I share together. And this idea of heaven on earth, of nirvana, of paradise, whatever you would like to name it, this possibility exists right here, right now. But it's up to you and I. It's up to you and I to co-create it. And the truth is from indigenous wisdom traditions across the globe, from the beginning of humanity, all faith traditions, this idea of heaven on earth, nirvana, paradise, of a world that works for everyone and every creature is not a new idea. But what do you think is keeping us from actually experiencing it? And I know that for me, the answer to that question is the realization of the truth of who you are, the truth of goodness, the truth of inherent belonging and connection to one another as part of this one glorious, divine life. In the last series, I spoke about what it takes for spiritual revolution, who we need to be as revolutionaries in the change we want to see in our lives and in the world. And this change is a result of being conscious and aware of our spiritual nature. That you and I are spiritual beings. There is no other possibility, and our humanity isn't separate from that. It is a part of this wholeness. It is a part of the gift of aliveness, which is the third pillar of perennial wisdom. That awakening to our aliveness, awakening to the truth of who you are, awakening to the true nature you are as a spiritual being, mandates, calls you and I to be blessings on earth, to every creature, to one another. That there's an inherent understanding as you become more awake and aware of the truth of who you are, that you are not only in relationship with all of life, but you have a responsibility. You have an ethical responsibility to be a blessing, to be a beneficial presence to all of life. That is how you and I create heaven on earth. That is how you and I reveal the truth more fully into our lived experience, which is what I would call heaven on earth. You fully awake and alive, expressing your true nature in relationship with all that is, in relationship with what you naturally belong to as a part of nature yourself, is what brings heaven on earth forward. So let's get into it. You know those times when you get an instinct, an impulse, a little inkling that there is something for you to do, or maybe something for you not to do? That impulse is part of your true nature, is the wisdom that lives within you. And what I have come to understand in my own life is the closer I am to that, the more willing I am to feel that and hear that, and then act on that, the more able I am to be a blessing, the more able I am to bless myself and to bless beloveds in my sphere, in my circle. And that's why I am so convinced that any change that you want to see in your life, any change you want to see in your family's lives, any change you want to see on this planet starts there. It starts with you and I being able to feel and hear those divine impulses and that wise instinct, intuition that lives within, which is why I do what I do, which is why I'm here right now talking to you about co-creating heaven on earth, because I know it's possible. I know that you and I can do it. I know that it is not some far off future existence, that it is available right here and right now. And I know for sure that you and I have a mandate, a responsibility to do the work that creates the conditions to hear, to feel those impulses and hear that wisdom, to listen to the small, still voice. And so I want you to think about what that means for you. And maybe think of a time in your life where you heard that small, still voice, where you knew that there was something for you to do or say or not do or not say. And what happened as a result of taking action on that, right? I think about this perennial wisdom pillar, this third perennial wisdom pillar that says awakening as aliveness calls us to be a blessing. Aliveness is another way of saying you fully awake and aware to the truth of who you are. And to allow yourself to be fully alive in that is an active way of being, right? It is you expressing this truth, to be fully alive, to be fully here and now and present and living as this truth. It's not theoretical. It's not theological. It is you willing and able to take the awareness, to take the impulse, to take the intuition and move with it, to bring it into who you are being and how you are living. This is the love and action piece of the spiritual journey. Becoming aware, critical, so important. Growing the awareness, so critical, so important. But if we stop there, the heaven on earth, the transformed life, the transformed world, the transformed relationships that you want cannot come into being. It can't just stay in awareness. It has to be lived. So I want you to think of a situation in your life right now that you want to see change, that you want to experience paradise in, that you want to have a more heavenly understanding and experience. Maybe it's relationship in your family. I've been hearing from a lot of community members lately about struggles and the one I've been hearing most about is parental relationships. What's going on between parents and kids? What's going on between parents and kids and grandkids? And what would happen if you could take a breath and remember the fundamental truth of who you are in these relationships? Remember the fundamental truth of who your parent is, who your baby is, who your grandbaby is. The fundamental truth that you are made of God stuff, that you are inherently good, and so is your mom, and so is your daughter. And from that knowing, what becomes possible in that relationship? From that centered, aware, alive place, what are you feeling moved to do differently? What are you feeling moved to forgive? What are you feeling moved to be compassionate about? How could that now change your relationship? How could that begin to shift your interactions, your feeling? I think these are the places that spiritual living comes most into play, is how we are being with one another. I know that we get really grand in our ideas about what spiritual living means. That, it means that you and I are about to head out into the world and make a difference. You and I are going to house all of the unhoused. You and I are going to end starvation and poverty. And hell yes, I want all of those things. But it starts with, what kind of parent are you being? What kind of child are you being? Can you extend love in a way that you haven't been able to so far? Can you hold your mom or your child or your grandbaby in loving, 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 loving attention, even when the behavior is off the chain? Can you find a way to seek greater understanding when it feels like you don't understand why they're doing what they're doing, why they're behaving the way they're behaving? This is spiritual living. This is actually grand, big deal change right where you are. And I know that it seems maybe oversimplified, but take a minute and really think about your personal experience. How could you be having heaven right now if you made that one shift? If you could move yourself into a place of forgiveness and compassion in that relationship. Yeah, that's a game changer. It is an absolute game changer, and you get to have that heaven now, right now. One of my great dreams and visions and prayers for you and for all of us in this community is that we get so committed to practicing these principles, to living these truths, to growing in our understanding of our own true nature and putting it to work. This is how change happens. This is how transformation happens. So I'm really excited to introduce the practices that you and I will be diving into throughout the series. And even more exciting, or maybe as exciting, is small groups are going to be coming very soon. There are going to be opportunities for you to be in community with other beloveds who are doing this work alongside you, where we get to lovingly practice compassion. We get to lovingly practice courage in how we live. We get to lovingly challenge one another. We get to lovingly connect and build absolutely true relationship with one another. And I believe this is the most transformative work of spiritual living, is coming together and doing this work together in community. So the small groups are coming, and as I introduce practices throughout the month, I am going to be introducing what we call the 5 C's, the 5 principles that guide our spirit circles, the name of our small groups program. And the first one I want to introduce to you is communion. The principle of communion, the practice of communion. And communion simply means setting aside real time every day, hopefully every day, to commune with truth, to commune with your true nature, to commune with the divine in your own being. And so those practices may be meditation, those practices may be walking in nature, mantra, singing, dancing, yoga, whatever your ability is to be in deep attention and connection with that still small voice, with the feeling of your wholeness and divinity. That is what I mean and what this communion principle represents. So we're going to do communion practice this week. And the practice that I'm going to offer you is a mantra practice. Not everybody has toyed with mantras, but I think it's a really sweet way to not only take time aside each day and practice, but to keep something with you all day long that can help you come back to your sense of truth, come back to your sense of wholeness, come back to your sense of connection with your true holy nature. And so I am going to be sharing with you a mantra that is in song form. And so the song will be available to you. You will be able to listen to it, sing along with it, and either use the mantra that is in the song or create one that is for you, that works better for you, that you can come back to again and again and again as an anchor, as a reminder, as a connection point to your true holy nature. The other thing that we're going to be doing all month long throughout this series is what I am calling a courage challenge to take your practice a little deeper. Courage is one of the principles that is in the 5 C's. It is also a value in this community, and I wanted to share the stated value for courage. We are committed to challenging our own misbeliefs, missteps, and growing edge. We are committed to growing past our comfort zone into greater awareness of our divine nature individually and collectively. This work of spiritual living, this work of spiritual growth and spiritual maturing requires courage. You and I have to be willing to step outside of what we find comfortable or what we think we know about our own nature and about nature itself. So each week I'm going to add a little additional step you can take to courageously deepen in your practice. And so this week's courage challenge is to take this mantra and let it inform your misbelief. Every time you have a thought come up where you think, oh, I suck at that, or, oh, I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not lovable, whatever that misbelief is for you, I want the mantra you choose this week to be the replacement for that misbelief. If your misbelief is, I'm not lovable, then I want your mantra to change that thought. And it might be something like, even when I believe I am not lovable, I am loved. I am love itself. So I want you to find a mantra this week that helps you replace a misbelief. And every time that crappy thought flies into your mind, you're going to restate what is true through your mantra. Anchor this with me by acknowledging your holy, true self. And that because you know yourself to be divinely made, because you know yourself to be a member of nature, because you know yourself to belong to the one life that we all belong to, you know yourself to be a blessing and a benefit to all of life. That is how powerful you are. I love you so much. Blessings.